Qatar are behind it. They've been allowed to buy every port in our country. They own half of London. Our politicians have sold their souls to Qatar. Now, what Qatar used to do, and these countries used to do, they used to fund little charities, Islamic charities, and they'd fund them to be on the streets calling for dawah. Well, that's gone. What is influential now? Influencers. Sneeko.
Let me back this up. Guys, you have to understand this point. He's making a very important point. So he's talking about Qatar buying up Great Britain, buying up their ports, and he didn't cover half of it. Qatar is like taking over the UK by constantly buying things, buying properties, taking over everything, supermarkets, things like that. They're buying them and owning them, and they're slowly taking it over. And he says, back in the day, I'll rewind this, but you have to get this point. If you go back 10 or 15 years, if you wanted to spread Islam, you'd fund dawah guys preaching on the streets, dawah guys going to Speaker's Corner. So are these guys being funded by Qatar? I don't know, but that's how you would have done it 10 or 15 years ago. And he points out it's way more effective now to pay influencers to promote Islam for you. So the day of the dawah guy preaching on the street, walking around on the street, hey, convert to Islam, having a dawah booth, that's nothing compared to something like a Lily J or an Andrew Tate or a Sneeko. Converting to Islam and then using the huge platform to spread Islam. So they have a much more effective way of doing that now. But anyway, back up a little bit. There's an important point to get, so get this point.
Used to do, and these countries used to do. They used to fund little charities, Islamic charities, and they'd fund them to be on the streets calling for dawah. Well, that's gone. What is influential now? Influencers, okay? Sneeko. I watched Sneeko convert to Islam, yeah? He converts to Islam because it become trendy. Remember, people like us telling the truth about Islam, we were attacked and silenced. And then Islam comes in with all its money and it becomes very trendy. And it becomes trendy because all the money's coming and funding it.
Did you catch that, guys? So one, you can become, some of these influencers can convert to Islam because it's trendy, right? It's trendy. It's just this thing, oh, here's a good way to get a bunch of attention. But he's also pointing out it's becoming trendy because people are nations like Qatar and Saudi Arabia are pouring money into it. So there's a ton of money there. There's a ton of money to make it trendy. Meaning if you want to jump on board, if you want to get on the trend, it's actually in your financial best interest.
Sneeko converts and then he goes and makes some video in Saudi Arabia. Very well produced video. He's drawing the American youth. You need to wake up in America. Yeah. The same with Andrew Tate. Okay?
Ooh.
These people, in my
catch that? Same with Andrew Tate. Calling him out. Called him out.
In Saudi Arabia, very well produced video. He's drawing the American youth. You need to wake up in America. Yeah. The same with Andrew Tate. Okay. These people.
He's gonna talk about that here in a minute. How he'd like to actually talk to Andrew about some of this stuff. Which that would be an interesting discussion. They're both well spoken, but in different ways. They both can go kind of rapid fire and stuff. So it would be I think it would be huge, especially if they start talking about Islam, because Tommy knows about 10,000 times more than Andrew Tate does about Andrew Tate's religion that he reverted to. On Islam, Tate would get completely crushed and I would suspect exposed. I have to say, now that Tate knows that Tommy's willing to call him out for you getting paid to say this stuff, I can't imagine Tate actually going through with it unless he let Tommy know beforehand, here are things you cannot bring up in this discussion. But I can't imagine Tate walking into this in a free-for-all discussion on this issue when Tommy's willing to call him out for this stuff.
He's drawing the American youth. You need to wake up in America. Yeah. The same with Andrew Tate. I saw a black TikToker in America and she's got the Quran and I've just decided to pick up the Quran and start reading it. All of these people, the way they now reach the public, as in there are billions of pounds to be spent in order to convert.
You've got Qatar buying up massive amounts of properties, sending billions of dollars to U.S. universities to control what those universities are promoting and so on, and what research they're doing and so on and so on. You have these places, they're sending they're funding dawah, billions of dollars. They're funding influencers on TikTok, on YouTube to sway people to convert Islam, to get your kids to convert. That's why there's this big push on TikTok. They know it's a young generation watching on TikTok. They know that young generation knows nothing about Islam, and so you can lie to them and tell them whatever they want. And that's why they are funding these online influencers, sending them piles and piles of money to convert your kids to Islam. And you think, oh, I don't want my kid converting to Islam. The real goal is those kids will what? They'll start hating your nation, everything it stands for, and want it to become Sharia compliant, want Islam to take over.